Start film in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Clerks as we see the HBOmax logo just kind of start up. And of course, HBOmax, somewhat controversial these days. I don't actually know who owns the rights to this film since HBOmax no longer exists. And here we also see the other logo for Kevin Smith's Askew Company. Also, sorry if I mispronounced that. And somewhat inappropriate, but that's Kevin Smith for you. You get what you get with Kevin Smith. Of course, this is his first film, Clerks, an absolute classic. I love this film, and it just screams 90s, of course. So here we are introduced to the character of Dante, who for whatever reason is sleeping in a closet. Not really sure why he's sleeping in a closet, but he is. And of course, it's his day off. And we find out he's gonna go into work. And of course, a giant hockey fan. I wondered what he was doing last night to roll out of a closet. Like, what the hell, man? So here we have the bargaining chip. Come in at 12. If you come in at 12, I'll come in to open. We have the start of the day. The soundtrack kicks in. And like I said, this movie screams the 90s. And everything fits so great. It's fantastic. Of course, the film is shot in black and white. And if you're watching the DVD release, you're getting a very, very small picture if you're watching this on widescreen. Matter of fact, I believe the edition I'm watching is supposed to be live screen. Yes, I'm watching the widescreen release on DVD. Of course, the film is available on Blu-ray. As a matter of fact, the UK just recently got a brand new Blu-ray release. So if you have a region-free Blu-ray player, perhaps, maybe go get that release. Of course, it's out of print for Blu-ray in North America, which is just unfortunate. I really hope that Kevin Smith does authorize a re-release. It'd be nice if actually Arrow Video got the rights to that, as they just came out with Mallrats not too long ago as well. So here we have Dante opening up the store, and he's about to get a nice surprise when he comes to open the shutters. But right now, he's getting the store prepared for the day. I didn't know they had newspapers on Saturday. I believe that's when the movie takes place, is Saturday. I could be wrong about that, and I apologize if I am wrong. Now, this film was shot for about $20,000, which is incredible, because if you just told me, yeah, this was just filmed on a black and white camera and that was that, I wouldn't believe that it was $20,000 only. And of course, Dante just steals the sports section, which is great. And he gets his quarterback. So, despite the fact that he has to come in for work, everything's coming up Millhouse. So he puts the quarterback in, and here's where he gets the surprise of a lifetime. For a store clerk, anyway. Gum in the locks. Now, of course, Kevin Smith worked at this quick stop in real life, and so he used it for filming location. However, he had to film either at night or when the store was closed. So most of the film is filmed at night, though you'd never know that unless you were told. I recently watched this film in preparation for this commentary track, and I was like, there's no indication that any of this was filmed at night. And of course, this is before things are open 24 hours and whatnot. So 6 to 10:30 is kind of surprising for me because any corner store that I was around was usually closed at about 8, maybe 9 when I was a kid in the 90s, so that's kind of surprising. And here's this asshole in the suit. Now, probably one of the best selling products of a corner store is probably tobacco, probably even still today. But then you have this asshole who's anti smoking and whatnot. So he's going to stand around here and be like, don't buy cigarettes. And it's like, you're an asshole, dude. Yes, smoking is bad and I do not endorse it, but you don't have to be an asshole about it and sit in a small store and do that. Do this in a, although I don't think there are any large stores that sell cigarettes or something like that. But for a small time business, my apologies there, don't do this, asshole. You don't, like, again, and again, I'm not sure if cigarettes are their major business or what have you. Yes, it is cheaper than cigarettes, sir. But again, based on the assumption that the store makes its money from cigarettes, I wouldn't want to, like, disrupt that business. Now, if cigarettes were very low key, and here we have Dante confronting the gentleman and being like, stop being an asshole. Because he really does come off as an asshole. And again, he continues right off the bat. And here comes the two best characters in Kevin Smith movies, Jay and Silent Bob. They are fantastic. Of course, they get better as the films go on, but for the most part, they're fantastic here too. Again, a lot of foul language in this movie. Again, if you've ever seen a Kevin Smith movie, this is what you've come to expect, is very vulgar language, and I wouldn't have it any other way. As a matter of fact, the funny thing is that originally Clerks was going to receive an NC-17 rating, but it had no violence or anything like that. So the studio was able to talk them down to rated R, which, wouldn't have destroyed the movie. NC-17 movies don't quite do as well, because most theaters won't show NC-17 films. So they got lucky. So now he's performing this sermon. As a matter of fact, it's weird that he's preaching this because I believe by 94, uh, the cigarette packages had the whole, this is killing you, look at what it's doing to you, etc. But most people don't care. And of course, you see them smoking outside the store anyway. Although I'm pretty sure that's weed and not tobacco, but or it could be a mix of the two because Kevin Smith was a smoker at the time. But again, they're probably smoking weed, which is a pretty good staple for the characters, as we see later on in all the films. It's really weird that he's advertising for Chuli's gum specifically, but we're about to see why he keeps going Chuli's gum. Gonna shut you down. Yeah. Impressive. All it takes is a fire extinguisher. Credentials. Oh, look, he's a Chuli's gum salesman. What an asshole. And after all of that, just gets a pack of cigarettes anyway. Like, what the fuck? So that's why the guy was really being an asshole. He doesn't care if you smoke or not. Just gum. So here we have the existential crisis of, do I work this mundane job or do I go to school? Now, granted, in the 90s, there was still hope for getting a better job after university, whereas today, not so much. And of course, we get the hockey game at 2. I'm not supposed to be here today. A recurring theme throughout the film is that Dante will keep bringing up that he's not supposed to be here today. And of course, we get the please leave money on the counter. Yay, paper and coffee. I've never seen a corner store have coffee until probably the mid 2000s. So seeing it here, it was like, oh, all right then. Of course, the other thing too is that I was 4 years old in 94, so I probably wasn't paying attention. That's a thing. So here we have the lovely couple just chilling on Saturday. So there you go. Although, would there be paper on a Saturday? Come to think of it, maybe it's during a weekday. I'm not sure. And I apologize for that. Of course, we get the come conversation, to put it bluntly, about how it's much more of an art form to make a woman come versus a man. There's always these conversation in Kevin Smith films that are somewhat philosophical without being philosophical. It's very much real life. He never goes above and beyond for the most part in his movies. He keeps it really down to earth, which is something that's respectable about his films. Obviously, as we got later and later and later into his career, there are somewhat more fantastical elements, but in his earlier career, it's very down to earth. And for whatever reason, they're having a conversation about previous partners. I don't know how much that comes up in relationship conversations, but I know it does come up. But it seems somewhat surprising to do that while in a store, regardless of how dead it is. Yes. Go to school, wasted potential. And again, school in the 90s, much more promising than in today's day and age. And here we find out about snowballing. I'm sure everyone was raring to hear about that, but it is a thing that happens. Again, these films have quite the vulgar dialogue, so be prepared. And of course, watching this commentary, most likely you know what to expect from this film. So, yeah. And it's also weird that they just pop up right as this guy comes in, so we get that awkward conversation. Yes. We find out why his name is Snowball. Oh dear. And here we have some drama building because of the hey, look, snowballing. Oh dear. So, yes, a blown up argument because of offensive sex allegations. Dante tends to overreact to everything, something that we see throughout the film, including right now. And then he has a crisis about sucking 37 dicks. And again, yelling in a store while working. Kind of fantastic. Not really, but it's kind of like, perhaps you should have this conversation elsewhere, good sir. Something like 36. Just freaks the hell out. And then he goes off and argues with people. Ugh. This conversation is kind of awkward when you think about where it's taking place. Again, we're not sure how many people are in the store. And of course, I'm using the context of them having actual customers and this not being a movie set. Like, could you imagine if the owner was there, like the actual owner of the location, and was hearing this? Of course, the total budget for the film, I believe, was 300,000, 20,000 for filming, and then 280,000 for production. Whoop. And here we meet probably the best character in Clerks, young Randall. Randall is so good. And I think he's better in this movie than in Clerks 2. That's just my personal opinion. Of course, there's the great Lord of the Rings speech in Clerks 2. But overall, in Clerks 1, Randall is fantastic. Because he just doesn't give a fuck. He just doesn't care. And that's something respectable, I'll say. Something you couldn't do today. Today's working environment is much more strict than in the past. This was definitely the 90s are kind of known for that slacker and mentality, but it's not really that many slackers, but it's definitely displayed that in film. And of course, the gentleman leaves his keys, and Dante's just like, this, fuck your keys. And here's Randall. And he's acting like he's just like a customer. And of course, he's just being an absolute dick by being like, I'll bet you $20 that I get this film before you. And of course, nobody realizes that Randall is the employee, so he's definitely going to win this bet. Though it's never stated that he gets the money. And here we have more great music as we have Alice in Chains playing right now. And again, the soundtrack choice, I can't praise it enough. It just screams 90s and works so perfectly with this film. Bunch of savages. Just being a dick, like, I'd come later. Being 11:30, obviously the boss is supposed to show up. And the gentleman's still looking for his keys. Wonder if he ever finds them. Or gets a replacement key set. This is before you could call an insurance company and they come unlock your car like that. Granted, I don't know if that was ever a thing before the mid 2000s. Don't own a car, so I don't know how any of these things work. Oh dear. I'm kind of surprised that they had memberships. Although again, early 90s, too young to remember these things, but I remember memberships being a thing at Blockbuster for about 5 years before they closed, maybe 10, and that was when they just started. But that's all there is to it. And Gatorade is going to become a huge theme later in the movie. Well, not a huge theme. It's going to become a thing later in the movie. Unfortunate. Also, very weird that they're always drinking Gatorade and not like a soda or something like that. 8.5 times. The conversations between Dante and Randall are always so good. No matter what the subject matter is, the banter between the two and the discussions between the two are always very enjoyable to listen to. Congratulations. As we find out that two people found out they were gay and they moved off to live happily ever after. Something surprising for the 90s. Huh. I don't know too many people that were having sex during high school and cheating on each other, but I guess it's a thing. And of course, Dante's already taught. Speaking of infidelity, Dante's planning on cheating on Ronnie with Caitlin for some reason. It's like he has a great relationship, it seems. And despite the fact that there was an argument early in the morning, what relationship doesn't have an argument here or there? And here we find out that Caitlin is getting married. And we're once again introduced to Silent Bob and Jay. They don't really do a lot in Clerks 1. Their screen presence builds and builds and builds and builds throughout the films. And here we have Randall being a complete dick again. Just listen to this. So he just sits there and lists off a bunch of porn titles while there's a small child there. It's It's amazing how far his dickery goes. He can have these meaningful conversations and interesting conversations, but he's always being a dick in some way. And then you have just this conversation happening over the phone while this guy is paying for things. Again, these shouldn't be conversations that you're having at work or at least in the open. And we have the kitty possibly taking a shit. Because what else would you do in a litter box, right? Curious party. Yeah, I think this cat is taking a shit here and this guy's just watching it. Or possibly listening to the conversation the whole time. It's never really demonstrated what exactly he's doing. And then, sort of, we see now that he's looking at the cat, and it's just like, why are you paying attention to a cat taking a shit, good sir? It's just very odd. But then again, this film is filled with oddballs. And then there's sort of that assumption of, yeah, he was interested in the cat's shit. And one of the great songs of the soundtrack that we don't hear the actual finished product of, we just hear a couple of lines. As we find out that Silent Bob has a cousin from Moscow who's in a Russian metal band. Which, fair enough. Metal face. It's great. He doesn't look metal at all. It's really great that Jay was able to turn his life around. He used to be a heavy drug user, and I'm happy he turned his life around and now he's living it to the fullest. Clean as can be. And Kevin lost a bunch of weight. Here we have Berserker. Yes, he did say making fuck. And again, Randall doesn't take his job seriously at all as he's just sitting there watching movies. It's a lot of tapes, too. Goes out of the store, always locking the door. A smart man. And this is the most unmetal looking man I have ever seen. And unfortunately, you should let some chips go sometimes, as this gentleman has his hand fucking stuck. And I'm glad it didn't go with the cliche, oh, are you holding on to the thing inside of the thing your limb is stuck in? It was just, his limb was straight up stuck. Words to live by. Hard to reach chips go. That didn't sound like Return of the Jedi, but I get it. And here we have the important Star Wars talk. Well, Chewbacca plays in the background. If you haven't heard Chewbacca, I recommend it. This is probably my favorite discussion in the movie is the Star Wars talk. And then we have the contractor just sitting there who will eventually give his 2 piece or 2 cents into the conversation. So Randall's argument here is that a lot of innocent people were killed in the second Death Star explosion, whereas the first one, they were all assholes, so they all deserved it. You think there were toilets, Randall? I don't think that thing had toilets, but I could be wrong. Just so good. So here we see that the contractor is like, nah, they knew what they were doing. He explains how he was going to build for a mobster, and he turned down the job, gave it to his friend. His friend got killed. And of course, we see Jay just, shoplifting. Because, when you're sitting outside of a store all day, you get hungry and you have no intention of paying, so you're going to steal things. And of course, this is before the age of security cameras in every store. And obviously, with the two clerks being preoccupied, being deeply invested into this conversation about contractors having a say and having politics involved in their choices. And then he finally runs away. The two are just shocked at this revelation. Randall having another opportunity to be a massive dick by ignoring this customer and just not caring whatsoever. Yeah, this is also a very weird question because what happens if the clerk doesn't see the movies? Then how do they know, right? And then she tries to pull the trick of, oh, I've taken 2 new movies. It's like, haha, caught you. The ruse. Also, meanwhile, Jay and Silent Bob are just sitting outside the window, just, being Jay and Silent Bob, which is pretty incredible. As they're just smoking outside the store, leaning into the window, just being dicks and jumping. Goodbye. Yeah. Randomly just goes, yeah, you can't rent here anymore, bitch. Always being a dick. It's one of his charming qualities. The Eggman. Yes, always important to have egg standards because egg standards are always important. I don't think anybody really gives a fuck about eggs, to be honest with you. But we kind of find out why he's into this egg quest. Guidance counselors. It's so weird because he does all these tricks. And then eventually he just snaps. At least they pay for it, which is nice because the second that egg went into that guy's mouth, I'd be like, nope, you are now buying that carton of eggs. That's right, guidance counselors. Your jobs are meaningless. Ah, well. Yes. Meaningful job. Also, interesting job. Artificial insemination of caged animals. Ah, well. And yeah, there you see him snapping, smashing all the eggs. I guess they made a pretty penny from this. Now, this scene will come into play much later, as Randall, again, doesn't give a fuck. Gives a child a pack of cigarettes and a condom. But of course, Dante's not really paying attention either. And then we get the jizz mopper conversation. Wow. Again, the conversations vary from, dating problems to Star Wars conversations or nerd conversations to vulgarity conversations. And then this guy is buying toilet? No, not toilet paper. Paper towel and some sort of cleaning solution. Oh no, highly offended. Somebody call the police. Yes, and here we see Randall's carefree attitude and really not giving a fuck if he has a job or not. Vent your frustrations, Dante. You can do it. Everybody knows you can. Yes. Group of customers is still customer, Dante. Everything's fine. Milkmaids. I've never seen a milkmaid before. And, you generally want to take from the back, but you don't want to keep pulling and pulling and pulling. And generally, cartons in the front aren't so terrible. And then, of course, the movie of any brand new movies or do you know that movie with that one guy that does that one thing? And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't know what that means. You could be talking about 1,000 movies. That one guy with that one thing. There are hundreds of movies with one guy doing that one thing. Yes, how much is this thing anyway? Look up, idiot. Okay, and there you can kind of see that it is nighttime because there's a reflection in the door. So you can kind of see that there is filming at night after they've closed. I wonder how much it would have sucked to work on this film just because of the sleep schedules. Like, if you're having to film at night, like it's daytime, you're probably sleeping all day and waking up at night. Not really difficult, but especially in the 90s where there's not 24-hour grocery stores or places that are open super late kind of thing. Still in the 90s, you've got sort of that everything kind of closes at 10 or before 10 type thing. So I wonder if the store allowed the crew to, like, okay, you guys can film here at night, but if you take anything, pay for it, please, type of thing. Sucks to be the locksmith. I mean, you also could have used bolt cutters, but then you'd probably have to go buy new locks. Doesn't look like the locks are that complicated either. So it's weird that he'd have to call a locksmith for that. Comic books. I remember when stores used to have comic books that weren't comic book specific stores. Ah, the old days. And here we see that Dante was lied to. So now Dante is stuck closing. So, he's working 6 to 10:30, which more is 6 to 11 or 5:30 to 11, which would suck. Work for $4 an hour. I don't know what minimum wage was in 1994, but, at least costs were down. So now Dante is so pissed. Yes, but he didn't have every reason in the world to be mad at somebody who wasn't involved with the decision. See, Randall, voice of reason, and it's just like, fuck. Here we have Dante saying, we can't make the game, sorry, fuck you, bye. However, he gets an idea. Play the game on the roof. So, there you go. See, he gets his harebrained idea right here to play on the roof. Randall doesn't understand a goddamn thing that's happening. Alright, let's get this hockey game going. I wonder how hard it would be to rollerblade through a store, and how to not fall on your ass. I tried to rollerblade when I was younger, and it was miserable. Of course, I could never skate either. And here we have the Gatorade discussion. No free drinks, dude. And eventually he caves to the free Gatorade. Oh, Randall, if only you knew. Suppressing rage. The roof. Temporarily closed. So, yeah. Wonder how big that roof would be, because it looks like there's about, I want to say, 6 people up there. And I wouldn't think that it would be suitable to play on, but I could be wrong. Especially for 6 people. Although it could be 8 people. The camera work makes it hard to actually count how many people are up there. But I imagine it'd be really easy for somebody to fall off, especially on rollerblades. Because I can't imagine that the roof is built for that kind of thing, but obviously, based on the filming, they're pretty fine for skating. And then, can't just wait, can you? Gotta be a dick. Also, what's to stop somebody from, knocking the roof over, or knocking the ladder over? Also, you fucking need cigarettes from this one store? You're gonna tell me that there isn't 100 other stores that sell cigarettes? or that there's a specific smoke shop. I'm pretty sure smoke shops existed at the time, so it's rather weird that he's like, I need this specific store open to fucking get my cigarettes. No. No, they're not open. Also, it's kind of amazing because he's not in skates and they're on skates, and it's like unfair advantage much. Like, it'd be no much easier to knock somebody over if they're using skates versus shoes. And then this guy is just a cunt by just launching the ball over there. Terrible. Terrible sportsmanship. And he gets knocked out. And the orange one. So they didn't think to bring any balls. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Ah, well. Also, I like how it's a Pittsburgh Penguins jersey, a New Jersey Devils jersey, and just random jerseys. And there's Dante going off again about how he wasn't supposed to be here today. Dante's just not having any luck at all. Ah, yes. A little friend. Yeah, well, so can eggs, good sir. At least that's what I've heard, that eggs can give you cancer, but so can the sun. It's really weird that he's having a conversation about how if you break that bulb, it's gonna give you cancer. This character becomes somewhat important later on in the film, as we'll eventually see. Okay, so the man is trying to be like, can I use your bathroom? And Dante, of course, acquiesces to the request. However, it's like, I mean, what else are you doing in the store, good sir? Is there no restaurants around? How did you get here? Like, can you not go behind the store? It's kind of weird that he just acquiesces to this request. I mean, he has no obligation to let the man use the bathroom. Obviously, like even today, there are tons of stores that won't just let you use the bathroom. It's like, yeah, too bad, go away. I mean, there are also restaurants that won't let you use the bathroom, or at least they force you to buy something first. And somehow he cons Dante out of a porn magazine. Dante's really too nice. The porno mag. Like, holy shit, dude. You're giving in way too much to this guy. Like, you're allowing him to, one, use softer tissue paper than you're allowed to use, and you gave him a good porno mag? What the hell? And here's why the Gatorade conversation comes up, because they drank it all. And here we find out that another former partner of Dante's has passed away. Yeah, 2 years, and for some reason you now feel obligated to go to this girl's funeral. They once again close the store. and Randall scams himself into going. So, Randall's excuse is that this is the social event of the year. He hates people, but he likes gatherings. Fair enough. A fair point from Randall that she did not mean anything to Dante till Randall told her that she died, or told him that she died. So here we go. They're driving to the funeral. I wonder how big the camera would have been to get this shot. I always find it, I don't want to say amusing, but interesting how they get driving shots. Because if you've ever seen a 35 millimeter camera, they're huge. And even more so 75 millimeter cameras, which are even bigger, but obviously this is not filmed on 70 millimeter. I've never seen a 16 millimeter camera, so maybe this is a 16 millimeter shot? Hard to say. I do know that most, I think even a 16 millimeter camera even requires a dolly to move. So maybe this is an 8 millimeter shot? Again, hard to say. I don't know the technical specs off the top of my head on what this film was filmed in. But clearly it have to be a smaller camera considering they're in an actual moving vehicle and the person operating the camera is in the back seat. And I can't see them. And eventually we see the car and it's nothing super big. That's all there's to it. Bit of tongue tied there. Apologies. So here they are at the funeral home. Plus, they kind of forgot about that gentleman. Open up! Open up! And here we go. The gentlemen enter. All somber and peaceful like. As peaceful as it can be at a funeral. 5 minutes later, get the fuck out. Run as fast as you fucking can. I like the roll over the car. Drive, 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 get the fuck out of here. Go, 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 go. Escape. So there you go. And now it's officially nighttime in the movie's timeline. Also, wonder how much time passed. How far it takes. Oh dear. I'm not dealing. Immediately starts to deal. At least Randall has his license. Yeah, he wants to rent a movie. He wants to go to the big video store, Dante, the big video store with all the good movies and not the shitty movies. And yet no one has tried to rent any video games. That's another thing too. You say we rent we rent Nintendo and nobody comes in for any video games. I'm sorry, but even in the 90s there were tons of people that were playing video games, okay? Are you open? And here comes probably Randall's biggest, maybe not his biggest dick moment, but definitely a big I'm a dick moment. So this guy is just going to sit there and read shitty tabloid headlines, and eventually Randall's gonna snap on him. Like, you can just see the annoyance on Randall's face as he slowly gets more and more and more annoyed. Yeah, just spits in his face just to get him the fuck out. All over being spat in the face. Break your fucking head open. Okay, sir. Tabloid headlines. Randall has a point about dictating their own behavior and not having to acquiesce to exactly what their employer wants, though there could be huge consequences to saying, there you go. Ah, yes. This asshole Jim thing only weighs 7 pounds. Apparently, 4 liters, or a gallon, equals 7 pounds. Kind of surprised. I thought a liter was a pound, but I could be wrong. Although, to be fair, a liter is 1,000 grams, and 500 grams is a little more than a pound. Don't know why I'm having this math conversation, but it's a thing that's happening. Because a pound roughly translates to 454 grams. So I guess if you do the math right, that's 400 liter. Yeah, 4,000 milliliters, which would be almost. Yeah, that's almost 10 pounds. So yeah, that would equal 7 pounds. Oh no. And here's the second biggest predicament for Dante, as this gentleman just walks in asking if he's worked there all day. Meanwhile, while the out of shape conversation's happening. Now, of course, this guy's kind of a dick because he's not being upfront about what this is about. And now we find out that the three of them know each other, and things are about to get a lot worse because of the gentleman writing the ticket. Because again, he's not being forefront about it and being like, yeah, were you here at 4? Blah, blah, blah. This is about somebody stole somebody's cigarettes. It's not till after the ticket is written and it's like, pay this now, you bitch. So it's unfortunate. And again, more problems of, guess what? She cheated on you more than you thought. Which leads me to ask, why are you trying to get back with her? Love does strange things. I wonder if that's a real statute. It probably is. It wouldn't surprise me. So yeah, Dante doesn't know about this because it was Randall who, if you all remember, was the one who sold the cigarettes to the child. So Randall should be the one who's held responsible for the ticket. Again, I don't know why he never brings up Randall, but he doesn't bring up Randall. Had he brought up Randall, perhaps most of this conversation would be a little easier. And what if Dante wasn't working at 4? You know what I mean? If there was someone else working there, and of course these two now judge Dante about it, and they're going to hook up. So I guess everything worked out for them. Ah, well. That's what's next. And then we get the shot of Randall in the video rental store, and he just feels like he's in heaven. Also, I just noticed that they have laser discs. My apologies for that, if that was ever heard. Something fell, so I had to catch it. So if it can be heard, I apologize. Oh, hey, it's Silent Bob. Back when trains were the majority way of travel. Uh-oh. And then the darkness scene, where they go to dance. Kind of a bit surprised that they didn't try to get any more lighting, but you see just enough to understand that he's just grooving at this point, and it's great. A lot of closing of the store. And of course, Dante's overreaction shows again. Sending an invitation. Right. Again, she kind of alludes to the fact that Dante overreacts to everything, and that's why she didn't tell him. But again, this happens anyway, so it's kind of like, all right. And of course, she's like, "Listen, you would have stopped talking to me if you had have known that I had a boyfriend." And it's like, I mean, so what if he did? Would it have affected you that much? It's a very strange situation. Mildly disturbed Dante people who are mildly disturbed don't call a newspaper being like, "Hey, was this a misprint?" So, yeah. I mean, some people at the age of 22 aren't getting married. Some people do. It's very much a thing. Some people get married young, some people get married late. So I can understand her sentiment of not wanting to be married, but at the same time, it's like, maybe you should have told him beforehand, and maybe not worn a ring. It's not that hard to take one off. Is there more to it? Who knows? Credit where credit is due. Dante, I think you're a little full of yourself, but okay, fine, whatever. Well, see, Dante's arrogance comes out, and there's kind of this ash, ugh, assholishness where he's like, I don't want to marry you. Then why is this conversation happening? Why did you make the phone calls? Why did you overreact in the way that you did? Clearly, you want to get married. Maybe not right at this second, but you're definitely showing this I love this person type thing. Yes, pretend over the phone. Again, there seems to be some toxic relationship here, and how they should just be friends rather than in a relationship because, I mean, they're spelling it out for you, so it's kind of like, what the fuck? Very strange. But hey, Dante, you do you. Like, wow, maybe take the hint here, my dude. Ronnie seems like a much better partner for you than Caitlyn. Maybe stay with Ronnie, my friend. It would definitely be better for you. Leave him a note. Oh dear. Also, she knows the people? Whatever. It's kind of surprising that, you introduced him to your mother at this point, considering you're making this spiel, but I am not one to judge. Is what it is. So now Dante thinks things are really going in his way, but he's in for a bad news. Oh, wait, there we go. Bob's breaking out some moves. All right. Of course, Randall would rent porn. See, so he already knows that Randall was the one who sold the cigarettes, so why isn't he making Randall fucking sell them or pay for it? Spitting water at life. Ah, they do play the actual version of Berserker. There we go. The fuck is he putting up on the window? I don't think we ever see it, do we? Flips off, Randall. Oh. Good. He didn't see it. Well, he did, but he's also heard Dante bitch about it all day. Oh no, don't come home till after graduation. Sounds about right. Also, shout out to Applejacks sitting half in the frame. And I guess, is that Woohoo Drinks? I'm not exactly sure. It could be Yahoo as well. Also eating Chinese food. This is great. No, this porn is great. Piss with the lights on. Oh, right. This is why she doesn't see. Oh, I don't want to spoil this, let me tell you. But something quite unfortunate is about to happen. Very unfortunate. Quandary. So now he sees what the sign is. Bunch of savages in this town, indeed. Ooh, ooh, wee, wee. And here we have Caitlin coming out, looking sort of dazed. Oh no. Opium would be heroin, my friends. Yes, they're both very confused. They both have no idea what's going on. But remember that gentleman that had to use the bathroom? He never left. Which is kind of weird because. Oh dear. The realization sets in. Yes, that's right. They forgot about him and he died in the bathroom. So, yes, he died masturbating while trying to use the bathroom. And yeah, things did not go well. Oh dear. And so ends the tale of that fiasco. Also, why would you put her in the same ambulance as a dead corpse? I don't understand. I also wonder how much it would cost to rent an ambulance. A small Jaws reference here. So yes, now they're dealing with the aftermath of the whole situation. Dante thought he was going to have a great night. Not so much after everything that's happened. Why do you have this life? Because things happened. So now Dante is complaining about his whole day and how this was his day off and all the wrong things happened. He has the worst day possible. Really unfortunate. Wallowing. 'Tis really unfortunate. Oh well. Yes, fuck you, Randall, is his response to everything. And it's just like, dude, you have a loving girlfriend. You wanted to cheat on her with your ex. And everything's blowing up in your face, and you have no one to blame but yourself. Yes. So yeah, Randall is trying to be the voice of reason as he has throughout the film, and again, just not working in his favor. He's like, listen, you have Ronnie. Ronnie is much better than Caitlin. Be with Veronica, damn it. Yeah, yeah. Randall's somewhat right. She will get over fucking the dead guy. What are they leaning on? Oh, it's a freezer. That's a big freezer for a convenience store, I'll tell you that much. That's like a almost a rather large drugstore size freezer, or almost a freezer for a grocery store. I'm kind of surprised that that's sitting there. Also, the microwave is kind of impressive to have. Not many convenience stores had one. Juxtaposition. Oh, he's repairing bills. I thought he was ripping bills in half. Yes, smoke some weed. Also, I'm surprised he's allowed to smoke because it says no smoking. Again, the 90s, a completely different beast than the 2000s. I remember in the early to late 90s, like you could smoke in a restaurant, no problem. And then all of a sudden, like 2001 comes around and bam, you can't smoke anywhere. Again, stealing candy. You know, and now they're trying to be the voice of reason and be like, man, don't be a cheater. You should probably stick with Veronica. And of course, Silent Bob is about to speak pure words of wisdom. So, yeah. Oh, rolling cigarettes. Or rolling cigarettes, rolling joints. Yeah. Words of wisdom. There are a million girls and fine looking women in the world, but not all of them will bring you lasagna to work. And Randall fucks everything up. Randall, why? Why did you? Because Dante has that realization, and Randall spilled the beans. And it's over. The two, because of what Randall did, which was stick his nose in other people's business. Again, it's Randall's character. He's trying to break things easily. So now Dante is single, and everything really, really went sour. His day, fucking the worst. This is why you don't cheat, folks. And this is why you don't tell people that you plan on cheating. Cheaters never win. So, there you go. Randall goes to close up. And ironically, the original ending for this film was that Dante gets shot and dies at the end because Kevin Smith didn't know how to end a movie. And I don't think that would have been the best option. Also, beating the shit out of somebody with a baguette, fantastic. Although that may have just been a hoagie roll, but who knows? I'm gonna keep it canon that it was a baguette. So yeah, they trash the store over fighting. Again, Randall had somewhat good intentions, but really, you shouldn't have done that, bro. Make your life miserable. Again, the porn was very important to Randall that he had to rent that. You can tell Dante is upset. Randall's trying to understand, and he wasn't supposed to be there. And again, Randall is being that sense, that voice of reason, like, Who was the one who did this? That was all you, my dude. You should have done these things. You should have thought clearly before jumping the gun. So yeah, you're too overcompensating. He's overcompensating for everything. And Randall's just like, bruh, fuck off. It's a fucking goddamn convenience store. It's not CEO of fucking Walmart or fucking CEO of Microsoft or vice president of a major corporation, you stupid dumbass. It's a convenience store. And now Dante is now realizing that maybe you were maybe I've been a dumbass the whole time. Maybe I've been a jackass. Maybe I should tone things down a bit. Hopefully they have, things have calmed down and they're planning things and he's got sort of his mindset. And again, the whole point of the original ending was because Kevin Smith didn't know how to end a movie, but it almost would have worked better because it would have ended sort of Dante's storyline, but it also would have been much more morbid and much more dark and would have ended things. It would have been a much more bleak ending. But, the movie just ends after having the sign thrown at him. So this was Clerks. I hope you enjoyed the film, and hopefully this wasn't your first exposure to the film. I recommend definitely listening to the film's audio and then coming here. Of course, I'm saying this at the end of the film, so that doesn't really help. But thank you all for listening, and I hope to see you on the next one.